today in front of the United Nations to try very hard to awaken the Jewish community to the dangers that lurk ahead in the lame duck period of December and January in regards to the state of Israel. So Morton Kiein, president of ZOA, is going to say a few things, and then I'll say a few things.
Well, I'm deeply distressed that none of the major Jewish organizations has taken a public stand on this, is making a serious noise about this extraordinary danger. I mean, the major ones. Where's ADL? Where's AJ Committee? Where's AIPAC? They're nowhere to be heard from, even though we have a delegation coming from the Palestinian Authority to meet with Obama, to meet with Kerry, to try to promote establishing unilaterally a Palestinian terrorist state, a Hamas-Iran terrorist state, and to declare the Jews who live in Judea and Samaria and Eastern Jerusalem illegal, which means immediately that will make BDS legal. Because if these people are living there illegally, then you can boycott them to try and get them out, because the UN says they're not there under international law. This is a very serious issue, and I'm sorry to say, when I talk to my colleagues in the organizational world, they've told me not to worry, this is not going to happen, when in fact there's all sorts of indications it will. In Wikipedia, top White House aides have said there's probably going to be consequences to Israel not establishing a state before the end of Obama's term. There's been editorials in the New York Times promoting this. Jimmy Carter just wrote an article promoting this. This is all orchestrated. This doesn't happen just by itself. Martin Indyk has said there'll be consequences, and they've begun using in the last month and a half terms like strongly condemn Israel building in Eastern Jerusalem in communities that will never be given away no matter what. So we see the hostility that's there to establish it. And when Samantha Power, the ambassador to the UN, and John Kerry was asked, will you veto these types of resolutions, they refused to answer. That's all you need to know.
Right, and this delegation, including Saab Erekat, coming from, that was reported in Haaretz today, this delegation coming to Washington is there for one purpose and one purpose only, is to make sure that the president doesn't veto any resolution that they come up with at the United Nations. That's why we're here in front of the United Nations. It is really important for the president to let the new administration come into being without a major seizure activity before, especially in regards to Israel, before they take office. I mean, this would be unprecedented for a president of the United States to make a unilateral move against Israel in the remaining months and days of his presidency, when no other president has ever done that, and it does not allow the president-elect Trump to form his government and to settle in Washington and try to indeed go about business about Israel, particularly in the fashion that he sees best for Israel and for Israel's neighbors. So it's really important that the president hears us and makes sure to continue to veto resolutions that he has vetoed in the past, continue to do so, and not make any rash, haphazard moves that will jeopardize peace for an eternity in Israel.
It's important that all of us, we are doing it at ZOA, others should get in touch with their members of the House and Senate and let them know that they need to pass legislation that says if President Obama does this type of refusing to veto this type of anti-Israel resolution establishing a terrorist state and making Jews living in Eastern Jerusalem illegal, they should say we're going to cut all funds to the United Nations and we're going to cut all funds to the Palestinian Authority. Let the president know that there'll be serious consequences if he moves forward with this anti-Israel, almost anti-Semitic action of embracing a Palestinian terrorist state and condemning the only human rights-loving democracy in the Middle East, Israel.
It's not only obviously Congress, but the president's own Democratic Party is not going to take kindly to any kind of rash decision-making in the remaining days of his presidency in regards to Israel. This would be unprecedented, as I said, and there are many in the Democratic Party that do not favor anything like this, and this would be a tremendous blow to them.
Ambassador Shapiro say, is there not need to be concerned about any move that Obama is going to do the last days against Israel? Both of you believe him?
Well, I know Dan Shapiro. He's extreme left-wing politically. He worked for Dianne Feinstein. He helped insert the clause to say that there should be a security waiver in order to make it easy for America not to move the embassy to Jerusalem. And he has said America will not endorse an unbalanced resolution. And Saeb Erekat and the Palestinian Authority is already saying that the resolution will not only say establishing a state and declaring the Jewish communities in Eastern Jerusalem, Judea and Samaria illegal, it will also condemn incitement. So this nonsense of condemning incitement, it looks important to condemn it, will make it seem as if this is not unbalanced, and will allow the president to say this is a balanced resolution, and he will not veto it. This is the danger. And by the way, Dan Shapiro said that publicly. We will not allow any resolution that's imbalanced to pass. But they will cleverly simply put in this type of issue about incitement or such to make it seem balanced, and then he'll have an excuse why not to veto it. That's my fear.
That's my fear, too. That's absolutely my fear. This delegation is trying very hard to make a resolution at the United Nations, which is why we're here again, trying to make a resolution at the United Nations that the President and John Kerry, Secretary of State, feel is worthy, and they would not veto. And of course, this is absurd because we know the resolution will obviously declare unilaterally a state for the PLO and PA, and by doing that, you've essentially closed down any avenues for peace because you have now unilaterally done something that is not a negotiation. It is not a proper method. It has never, in all of the history of Israel, it has never been the accepted method of attaining peace, and it will never work. It will never work.
Also, we should understand, if this passes, declaring Jewish communities in Eastern Jerusalem, Judea and Samaria as illegal, it will legitimize the BDS movement, the Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions movement, because now these Jewish communities will be illegal, and they'll have every legal right to boycott Israel under international law. So this will legalize BDS, as well as establishing a terrorist state unilaterally, without any security for Israel, without recognizing Israel, and it will also reward the Palestinian Authority for refusing to negotiate and committing terrorism all these years. This is terrible on about many, many different levels.
Thank you.